Welcome back to Breaking Down the Brief. I'm Allison, a current intern at Issidore. This August, as Congress is in recess, we're providing 3-minute, nonpartisan, accessible explanations of recent Supreme Court decisions. For Day 3, we are considering the case Oklahoma Statewide Charter School Board v. Drummond, decided on May 22, 2025, concerning educators as state actors under religious affiliation restrictions. The Oklahoma Statewide Charter School Board contracted with the St. Issidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School, which is affiliated with the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City and the Diocese of Tulsa. Attorney General for the state of Oklahoma, Gunter Drummond, filed an action against the board to invalidate this contract, arguing that the board's affirmation of St. Isidore's religious mission violated the Oklahoma Charter Schools Act, the Oklahoma Constitution, and the Establishment Clause. The Oklahoma Charter Schools Act governs the creation and operation of schools that the board sponsors, establishing that charter schools are public and non-sectarian. The Oklahoma Constitution serves as the foundation for this act, articulating the state's duty to establish a free public education system without sectarian control. The Establishment Clause is found in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, prohibiting the government from endorsing, favoring, or establishing a state religion. The Free Exercise Clause protects individual right to practice religion without government interference or discrimination. The Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled in favor of the state, agreeing that the contract violated Oklahoma state law and the U.S. Constitution. The board then appealed the case up to the U.S. Supreme Court. The court was back to the central question in this case. Does the contract between the board and St. Isidore violate state law, the Oklahoma Constitution, and the First Amendment? The U.S. Supreme Court affirmed the Supreme Court of Oklahoma's decision, holding that yes, the contract between the board and St. Isidore violates state law and is unconstitutional. This decision was only one sentence long, reading, "The judgment is affirmed by an equally divided court and issued per curiam." In this case, we'll review the reasoning provided by the Oklahoma Supreme Court. The court argued that the contract constituted the use of state funds for the benefit and support of the Catholic Church. The court therefore found that religious public charter schools violate the Establishment Clause. St. Isidore was indeed a state actor because it was entwined with government policies and performing a public function as the provision of free public education. As a state actor, public schools cannot require students to participate in religious activities, whereas St. Isidore does. The U.S. Supreme Court was split 4-4 in issuing this decision. Therefore, it does not constitute nationwide binding precedent. The prohibition on public funding for religious schools has been foundational to the separation of church and state. The debate over the Establishment Clause, the Free Exercise Clause, and publicly funded religious schools remains. As these legal battles continue, here are some sources for further exploration. This was Day 3 of Breaking Down the Brief with IssueVoter. Follow us to stay up to date on more Supreme Court cases. IssueVoter is a nonpartisan platform that makes civic engagement accessible, efficient, and impactful. Visit issuevoter.org to learn more. Sign up to stay up to date with legislation and make your voice heard.